Hello, welcome to me another session. In this session, I have a talk about the structure of the uterus. Uterus, this is the pear-shaped, muscular, sac-like structure which present at the center of the pelvic cavity. So, such structure present in between urinary bladder and the rectum. The front side of uterus, that is the urinary bladder, and the back side of the uterus, that is the rectum. So, the uterus present in between urinary bladder and the rectum. So, this is the figure of the uterus, and this is the section of the uterus. This is the longitudinal section of the uterus. Here you observe that the uterus, this is the triangular shape or the pear-shaped structure. Actually, the uterus, it is the inverted pear-shaped structure. So now you can say it is the sac-like muscular inverted pear-shaped structure which present in between the urinary bladder and the rectum is known as the uterus. The length of the uterus, it may be 7.5 cm. And the width of the uterus, it may be 5 cm. And the thickness of the wall, about 2.5 cm. Such uterus, the weight of the uterus may be 30 to 40 grams. So if you weigh the uterus, it weighs about 30 to 40 grams. Such uterus, it also known as womb. This is also known as womb. Womb is the site for implantation of the pre-baby or the pre-embryo or the fetus. So this is the inverted sac-like structure which is known as the uterus, and such uterus may be divided into three parts. So it is divided into three parts. The upper two angles which receive the fallopian tube. The two angles which followed by the fallopian tube, this portion is known as the fundus. So this portion is known as the fundus. So this is the fundus. The lower region, which is constrict region, this portion is known as the neck. It is known as the neck or cervix. So this portion is the cervix or the neck. And the middle portion, which is triangular in shape, this portion is known as the body or corpus. So the triangular shaped uterus, which is divided into three parts, the upper region where the two angles receive the fallopian tube, such portion is known as the fundus. And the middle portion, which is triangular in shape, and such portion is known as the body or the corpus. And the lower portion, which has the lower angle which followed by the neck or the cervix. So the lower region or the lower angle which continue with the neck or the cervix. So there is three portion: the fundus, body or the corpus in middle, and the lower region. This portion is known as the cervix. If you observe, then you find that there is the canal in between the cervix and the body of the uterus, and this canal is known as cervical canal. So this portion, which is known as cervical canal. Such cervical canal which communicate with the body of the uterus in upper side, and such cervical canal which communicate with cervix in lower side. So the cervical canal which present in between body of the uterus and the cervix. Now such cervical canal, there is the two opening. The one opening which communicates with the body of the uterus, this opening is known as the internal orifice. This is known as internal orifice, or it also known as internal os. And that is the another opening which communicate with the, or which help to communicate the cervical canal with the cervix. So another opening which communicate with the cervix of the cervical canal, this opening is known as the external orifice. So this portion is the external orifice, or it also known as external os. So the cervical canal which communicate with the body of the uterus as well as the cervix or the neck portion of the uterus. Now come to the wall of the uterus. The wall of uterus, which is very much muscular, and such wall is divided into three layers. The outer layer, which is about non-vascular and very little bit vascular, but you may say this is non-vascular layer, which is known as the perimetrium. So the outer layer of the uterus is known as perimetrium. So the outer layer, which is the perimetrium. The middle layer, which is composed of the smooth muscles, and the middle layer which help for the involuntary contraction of the uterus, and such smooth muscles help for the contraction during the birth of the baby or at the time of parturition. So such smooth muscles which present in the middle layer of uterus, so which forms the middle layer of the uterus and which provide the involuntary contraction at the time of birth of the baby, at the time of the parturition, and which help for the automatically expelling of the baby. So this smooth muscle layer or the middle layer of the uterus, which is known as the myometrium. So this is known as myometrium. So outer is the perimetrium and the inner is the myometrium. And the inner layer of the uterus, which is very much glandular, provided with so much gland, and it is very much vascular. It is very much vascular, and this inner layer of the uterus is known as the endometrium. So the inner vascular and glandular layer present, which is known as the endometrium. So such endometrium, it eroded at the time of menstrual cycle, or you can say the total endometrium layer was out at the time of menstrual flow, and again such layer regenerate during the menstrual or during the proliferative phase of the menstrual cycle. So the destruction and the regeneration of endometrium takes place repeatedly during the repeated menstrual cycle. So this is the endometrium. So the inner layer is the endometrium. This is the endometrium. This is the inner glandular vascular layer, which is known as the endometrium. At the time of menstrual flow, such endometrium layer was out or eroded completely by the lysosomal activity of the endometrial cells.